We've had transphobia, Islamophobia and fatphobia. What's the latest hate speech offence that British people have to make sure they don't commit? Paedophobia. I'm not joking. Probation staff have been told not to use the phrase chemical castration in conversations with paedophiles and sex offenders in case it upsets them. We now have to handle paedophiles with kid gloves, which is a terrible idea because they're kid gloves. They're going to enjoy it. We need to use adult gloves instead. Shabana Mahmood, the British Justice Secretary, announced this week that 20 prisons would trial voluntary chemical castration of sex offenders and paedophiles, and she described the process as providing medication to manage problematic sexual arousal. Problematic! Problematic suggests that it's a source of mild annoyance and is somehow disputable, like there's some argument over whether it's bad or not. No, these are nonces, and we shouldn't be doing chemical castration, we should do comical castration. That's when a clown does it with rusty garden shears, not a voluntary pill schedule and a diversity officer making sure that everyone's using the right pronouns and nobody's rude about the noncing. As soon as language like problematic is used, you know that we're not far from these guys getting their own flag and getting their own day of awareness and identity category on an Arts Council funding form. The whole thing is a smokescreen anyway. Labour have a big headline: we're gonna chemically castrate nonces, look how tough we are. But the real reason they're doing this is to let these nonces out of prison and into the community to free up prison spaces for anticipated riots by British people this summer in case one of our greatest strengths, another Welsh choir boy, slaughters a bunch of kids again. This isn't Labour being tough to keep kids safe. This is Labour letting nonces out to lock up people who want to keep kids safe. Chemical castration is already being piloted in prisons in southwest England, where 34 prisoners a month receive sexual suppression drugs. But do they have to take these drugs? I'm still going with garden shears as the better option. But my concern with this is that once you've given the state power to chemically castrate people they see as problematic sexually, remember they just said problematic, they're going to think they've got the prerogative to cut the nuts off everyone they say is problematic. Some might argue there's a half reasonable point to this. A lot of crime is driven by testosterone, so they'll argue it's socially beneficial to reduce the testosterone of anyone with horrible, aggressive, toxic masculinity. But considering the government is currently arresting people for saying perfectly legal things, like the couple who were arrested after criticising their kid's teacher on WhatsApp, and arrested another man for insulting the terror group Hezbollah, and there's a woman doing 3 years in jail for a tweet. Basically, if the government gets this power, I've got less chance of keeping my genitalia intact than the child of a Hollywood celebrity does, getting dragged to the clinic to become a eunuch so that mummy can look progressive at the Oscars. Nonces are another area where the free market does a much better job than the government in dealing with them. Facebook nonce hunters track down genuine nonces by pretending to be kids online, and then when the nonces arrange to meet them, almost always in an Asda car park for some reason with a carrier bag full of Alka-Pops, instead of meeting kids, they meet some angry blokes who've been pretending to be kids and then interrogate them and get to hear all their excuses.
You just wanted to get in the bath with her.
That was a mistake. A general mistake. I raised my hands up, I said that, I'm sorry, and I apologise. Yeah, but I wasn't going to meet him.
You're here to meet
What are
him.
you here for then?
I was only meeting her for a friendly way.
But the fact is you're still meeting a
Still here to
child.
meet a child.
Yeah, and I apologise for that.
Well, there's no point apologising. You've dropped yourself right in it. Do you know
Yeah,
what I
I've
mean?
dropped myself right in it. I wished I didn't come now.
Well, I wish you never ever spoke to him in the first place. You would have never met us lot.
But I'm not.
Welcome to your taxi.
Hmm?
Welcome to your taxi.
Yeah, thanks.
You're welcome.
It's been a pleasure. An absolute pleasure.
Yeah,
No, you stay where you are.
no, thanks for this.
That's
Ruined
all right,
my
it's an
holiday.
absolute
Hang on a
pleasure,
moment.
mate, your holiday,
You
yeah.
ruined
Yeah.
your own holiday.
No,
yeah.
you ruined it. Please, I
Listen,
need.
I don't want. Like, right, I'm starting to get a bit paid off now.
I'm getting
right?
paid off of this.
You've got
Yes,
no right to be
You've
peed
got no
off.
right to be paid off at this.
I don't want to be like this. I've never been like this before.
So right, when did
Like
you?
what?
Like this.
Like what?
Scared. Worried.
But what are you worried about?
Me losing my job.
It's the low-budget UK version of an American classic, Chris Hansen's To Catch a Predator, where he'd have hidden cameras and child-sized adults as bait for unsuspecting nonces, who'd also turn up with a carrier bag of Alka-Pops, the universal international accoutrement of the nonce.
I got some wine coolers.
And then they'd sit and be filmed and be remarkably candid, and then leave clearly thinking that they got away with it, and then be jumped on by burly cops in the driveway like Derek Chauvin jumping on George Floyd.
What are you doing here today?
Is this some kind of setup or something? I don't want this cookie. I just want to get to the beach.
Come here, just 1 second, sir.
But generic white male won't be going to the beach today. As he heads out the back, he stumbles off the porch right into the arms of the Fort Myers Police Department.
Why was it always a surprise? Why did they never know that the cops are waiting outside? Do nonces not watch the one TV show dedicated to nonces? Surely in the nonce community, clips of this show would get shared.
Oh man, I wasn't doing anything.
Get his keys.
But getting back to our left-wing government, Labour have a long history of being involved with dodgy nonce movements, and I'm not just talking about the BBC or grooming gangs. In the 1970s, Labour bigwigs were involved with the Paedophile Information Exchange, a group that campaigned for the legalisation of sex with children as young as 4. Labour MPs Patricia Hewitt, Jack Dromey and Harriet Harman ran the National Campaign for Civil Liberties, the NCCL, for a decade, during which time, according to the Daily Mail, the organisation made a submission to Parliament arguing for the lowering of the age of consent potentially to as young as 10 and for incest to be legalised. Man, it's like they were already planning the mass influx of medieval tribesmen who marry their cousins. Although this was Britain in the 1970s, maybe they were sponsored by Top of the Pops. The NCCL argued that childhood sexual experiences willingly engaged in with an adult result in no identifiable damage, which I'm sure will be a huge relief to the grooming gang victim who ended up in the kebab meat. Patricia Hewitt issued an apology in 2014 stating, "I got it wrong on Pi, and I apologise for having done so. I should have urged the Executive Committee to take stronger measures to oppose Pi's application for affiliate status." Oh, do you think so, Patricia? And the modern left who insist on seeing criminals as victims are coming up with new organisations to normalise noncing. Lefty activists argue that paedophilia is a mental disorder, not a moral failing, and people with these attractions should receive support to stop them acting on them, and not hatred. Stigmatising them could increase the risk of offending due to isolation or lack of help. The line between empathy and enabling quickly blurs. The Prostasia Foundation claims to protect children, but seems to spend all its time protecting nonces. They've rebranded nonces as minor attracted persons or MAPs, when the only branding they really need is with hot irons. The term MAP or MAP is a rebrand straight from the Predator PR playbook. Soften the language, blur the lines, and call anyone who objects a bigot.
In an interview with the Prostasia Foundation, Walker said the term minor attracted people, or MAPs, should be used to describe people who are attracted to children.
It's less stigmatizing than other terms like pedophile. A lot of people, when they hear the term pedophile, they automatically assume that it means a sex offender. And that isn't true, and it leads to a lot of misconceptions about attractions toward minors.
They claim that the mission is prevention, but they do insane stuff like promote child sex dolls. They see these dolls provide a harmless outlet for nonces without harming real children, but I think it's just lowering the barrier to entry. Serial killers usually start with dolls or animals. It lets nonces try it out before they escalate. Horrifically, one mother was shocked to discover that images of her daughter were used to create one of the dolls. Maybe these robot sex dolls would be a good idea if there was a tiny wood chipper in the orifice that gradually dragged the pervert in. Prostasia have also opposed laws to protect children and create cosy online clubs where MAPs, can swap coping strategies. All this is wrapped up in the language of mental health, making the nonces the victims, but the goal is clear: make society more tolerant of the intolerable. We're a long way down the slippery slope, and Prostasia parasitically leeches off real civil rights causes. They hijack LGBTQ+ language and talk about marginalised identities, as if paedophilia is something brave to come out about. Obviously, having MAPs try to creep onto the plus at the end of the LGBTQ is incredibly harmful to gay and lesbian people. The MAPs are trying to hide behind the rainbow while chipping away at moral boundaries that used to be non-negotiable. So no, I do not trust left-wing governments who make excuses for nonces and look the other way while grooming gangs commit horrific crimes to have our children's best interests at heart. Anyway, thanks for listening. Please share this video with your local Labour MP, and if you want to support me making these videos, then you can sign up to my Patreon. There's a link below. Okay, thanks for listening. I've been Leo Kears. Bye. Bye-bye.